My sister's nails were digging into my arm when she shoved me toward the basement door, the cold metal knob slamming into my hip as she hissed, "If you won't sign it tonight, Maya, then you can freeze down there with him." Behind her, my parents stood in the soft glow of Christmas lights, as if this were any other peaceful holiday evening, not the night they locked their own daughter and her 84-year-old father in a basement. Outside, snow was falling in heavy curtains, coating the world in white silence. Inside, the house smelled of cinnamon and pine. Then the door slammed. The bolts slid. Darkness swallowed everything. The shock didn't hit me until the second breath of icy air poured down the stairs. I reached for my grandfather, his thin body trembling more violently than I had ever seen. Before I could speak, he gripped my hand with surprising force and whispered in the dark, "Quiet, Maya. They don't know what's behind that wall." And that whisper, soft, shaky, almost swallowed by the cold, started the unraveling of a 40-year secret that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my family. I didn't move at first. The cold stunned me, slicing through my sweater as if the basement were made of winter itself. My fingers curled instinctively around Granddad's sleeve, guiding him carefully down the steep steps. Each wooden plank creaked under our weight, groaning like an old ship about to split. "Easy," I whispered. He nodded, breathing shallowly. The air smelled of damp concrete and forgotten things. A thin shaft of moonlight spilled from the tiny window at the top of the basement wall, just enough to outline the dust swirling around us. My breath was turning visible. His came out in weak bursts. I pressed my back against the door and pounded once. Nothing. I tried again. Silence. My parents didn't even linger to pretend they cared. They hadn't hesitated, not for a second, when Carla suggested handling the situation tonight so they could finally enjoy Christmas without drama. That's what I had become. Drama, trouble, a problem to be moved, restrained, silenced. Granddad squeezed my wrist, bringing me back into the moment. "Light switch?" he whispered. I slid my palm along the wall until I found it. The bulb flickered twice before humming to life, casting a pale orange glow over the cluttered basement. There were old holiday decorations, broken furniture, dusty boxes stacked against the far wall, and then a stretch of stone that looked older than the rest of the house. Granddad stared at that wall, his breathing uneven. "Sit," I said gently, settling him onto an old trunk. His hands shook, so I wrapped my scarf around his shoulders. "They can't keep us here forever. Leo lives next door. He'll check in. He always does." He didn't answer. He kept looking at that wall. I knelt down in front of him. "Granddad, why did you say that? What's behind the wall?" For a moment I saw fear, real fear, in his eyes. Then something else. Resolve. "I never wanted you to know," he whispered, "but tonight leaves me no choice." He struggled to stand. I quickly helped him up. Step by step, we crossed the cold concrete until we stood before the far wall. He pressed his trembling fingertips along the mortar until they stopped at a particular stone, one darker than the others. "This one," he murmured. "Push." I stared at him. "What? Is this some kind of storage space? A vent?" His expression hardened. "Push, Maya." So I did. At first nothing happened, then the stone shifted inward with a soft, grinding sound. Cold air rushed out, carrying a faint metallic scent. Inside the hollow space was a small metal tin, jet black, dented, cold as ice. It looked decades old. Granddad took it with both hands, clutching it to his chest like something sacred. My heartbeat stumbled. "What is that?" He slid down until he was sitting against the wall, breath shaky. "Everything I never told you," he said softly. "Everything your parents never bothered to ask." He opened the lid. Inside were folded papers, yellowed and fragile from time. I leaned closer, letting the faint bulb illuminate the first page. A birth certificate, but not Granddad's. I frowned at the name. Elias Ward. There was no Bennett. No trace of the last name he'd lived with for decades. My throat tightened. "Granddad, this isn't your name." "No," he whispered. "It isn't." He handed me the second paper, an adoption decree. The words hit me like a hammer. My grandfather, my rock, had been adopted in 1946 by the Bennett family. And then the third item, a photograph. A young man in a lab coat, standing beside scientific equipment I didn't recognize. His hair dark, his features sharp, his eyes, they looked like mine. "Who is this?" I whispered. "Your great-grandfather," Granddad said. "Adrian Ward, a brilliant scientist, a brave man, and a man who died because he refused to let his research become a weapon." The cold basement suddenly felt colder. "What research?" I asked, voice unsteady. He hesitated. "A project they later named Nova." The word dropped between us like a lead weight. "I was hidden," Granddad continued, "given a new identity so no one could connect me to him. And I promised myself I'd never talk about it, never put anyone in danger." He looked away. "But danger came anyway, because your parents want this house. And Carla, she's been snooping for years." I felt my stomach twist. Carla had always been competitive, jealous, selfish. But this? Locking us in a freezing basement on Christmas night because I refused to sign the house over? "How much does she know?" I whispered. "Not much," he said. "She only found an old notebook once, a decoy. But it was enough to make her suspicious, enough to make her greedy." I shook my head, trying to make sense of it all. "Granddad, why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because the truth is heavy," he whispered. "And I wanted you to have a normal life. But your parents, they've never understood legacy. And Carla, she only sees money. She thinks this house is worth something material. She has no idea what your great-grandfather died for." His fingers brushed my cheek. "But you deserve the truth." I sat back on my heels, overwhelmed. My family, my own blood, had betrayed us for a house they didn't even understand. And the man who raised me had been carrying a secret so heavy he'd built a hidden compartment into the foundation just to protect it. "Granddad," I whispered, tears burning my eyes. "They could have killed you tonight. You were freezing." He nodded. "They don't see me as family anymore. They see me as an obstacle." I clenched my fists. "I'm getting you out of here." He nodded toward the door. "You won't have to. Listen." I held my breath. Footsteps, crunching across snow, getting closer, then knocking. "Maya?" A familiar voice called. Relief crashed through me. "Leo!" I pounded the door with my palms. "Leo! We're down here!" The bolt slid. The door flew open. Warm air burst down the stairs. Leo's face appeared, eyes wide with shock. "What the— Jesus, Maya, are you two okay?" He hurried down, wrapping his coat around Granddad's shoulders. "What happened? Your parents said you needed space. Then Carla posted some shady video." "Later," I said. "We need to get him warm." He helped Granddad up the stairs while I followed, clutching the tin box. The living room lights still glowed sweetly, as if nothing had happened. The Christmas tree glittered. Ornaments sparkled. The stockings hung untouched. It made my stomach churn. Leo settled Granddad on the couch and turned to me. "Maya, what the hell is going on?" I handed him the tin. He opened it slowly. His eyes widened. "What is this?" he whispered. "My family," I said. "My real one. And the reason they locked us in the basement tonight." Leo looked from the documents to me and then back again. "Maya, this is huge." Granddad nodded weakly. "Bigger than they know. And they will come back." I swallowed hard. The idea of my own parents and Carla returning to this house sent a wave of dread through me. Leo stepped closer, voice steady. "You're not alone. Whatever this is, I'm with you." I felt something inside me shift. Strength, resolve. I looked at Granddad. "What do we do now?" He pointed to the adoption papers, his voice thin but unwavering. "Now," he said, We protect the truth. And that was the moment, right there, surrounded by Christmas lights and betrayal, that I realized the secret behind that wall wasn't just a hidden birth certificate. It was the beginning of a war my family had started, and a legacy I was going to finish. Leo stayed up the rest of the night, pacing between the kitchen and the living room while the storm outside raged harder than before. Granddad slept fitfully under thick blankets on the couch, and every so often he murmured something, half a word, half a memory, before drifting back into silence. I sat at the dining table with the tin box open in front of me, the fragile papers spread carefully across its surface. Snow scratched softly against the windows like fingernails trying to get in. I kept glancing at the front door, afraid it would burst open again, afraid my parents or Carla would return to finish what they'd started. At around 6 a.m, the storm finally calmed. The air inside the house warmed slightly, thanks to Leo restarting the furnace and boiling water for tea. I had barely touched mine. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. Leo sat across from me. "Maya," he said gently, "we can't stay here. Not today." I knew that. He'd said it twice already, but leaving felt like surrender, like letting Carla win, like admitting that the people who had raised me no longer considered me their daughter. "Where would we even go?" I whispered. Leo didn't hesitate. "My place. It's 2 streets over and I have a guest room. It's safe." Granddad stirred on the couch but didn't wake. I looked at him, the man who'd carried an entire family secret on his shoulders, the man they had almost frozen to death last night. He couldn't stay here another minute. I nodded. "Okay. Help me pack a few things." Leo's shoulders relaxed. "Good. I'll warm the car." He slipped on his boots and stepped outside, careful not to slam the door. I moved through the house quickly, gathering basic things: medicine, warm clothes, the tin box wrapped in my scarf. Every room I entered felt different now, like everything I once believed about my home had cracked open. I paused by the kitchen table where we had spent Christmases laughing, playing board games, eating cinnamon rolls. I could almost hear echoes of past holidays, the good ones, before Carla turned every gathering into a competition, before Mom and Dad stopped trying to hide that they preferred one daughter over the other. I swallowed hard. Maybe they always had. Granddad's weak voice broke my thoughts. "Maya, help me up." I ran to him. No, stay, I'll get Leo." He shook his head. "I need to stand. I won't let them push me into a corner again." I wrapped his arm around my shoulders, helping him slowly rise. He steadied himself with small breaths. "We must be careful today," he murmured. "Your parents will be angry. Carla will be furious." "Let them be," I said sharply. "They lost the right to tell me anything when they locked us down there." He touched my cheek. "Anger keeps you warm, child, but don't let it lead you." Before I could answer, headlights washed through the window. Not Leo's car. The wrong shape. Too large. Too early. My chest tightened. Granddad whispered, "They're back." A dark SUV rolled into the driveway. Slow, deliberate, familiar in a way that stabbed my memory. Carla had always loved showing up in style, but this wasn't her car. This one had tinted windows so black I couldn't see inside. Leo stepped back into the house just as the engine cut off. His face paled. "Maya, we need to leave now." But it was too late. The SUV doors opened. Carla stepped out first in a white coat draped dramatically over her shoulders, her hair perfectly curled despite the storm. The second door opened and my parents climbed out, both bundled in expensive coats, both wearing expressions carved from stone. Then a fourth door clicked open. A man stepped out, tall, severe, wrapped in a long black coat. Snowflakes melted instantly on his shoulders. I didn't recognize him, but something about him made me feel cold all over again. Carla spotted our silhouettes in the window and smirked. Leo swore under his breath, "Stay behind me." But Granddad's grip tightened around my arm. "No, don't show fear." There was a sharp knock at the door, 3 aggressive raps. Leo moved to open it, but I grabbed his sleeve. I'll do it. He shook his head. Maya, I have to. I opened the door. Carla's smile was stretched too wide, bright and poisonous. Good morning, sis, she said sweetly. Rough night? Mom stood slightly behind her, eyes red but not from crying. More like from anger marinated overnight. Dad didn't even meet my gaze. The man in black scanned the room behind me like he was evaluating a crime scene. I lifted my chin. What do you want? Carla scoffed. Well, for starters, an apology. You made Mom cry all night. I made her cry? My voice cracked on the last word. Carla's eyes glittered. Yes, and Dad's been dealing with chest pains because of your little outburst yesterday. I stared at them. You locked us in a basement. Dad finally looked at me. You were hysterical, Maya. We didn't want you hurting yourself, or your grandfather. Leo stepped forward. You left them in sub-freezing temperatures. Dad frowned at him. This is a family matter. Leo crossed his arms. And I'm the neighbor who pulled them out before they slipped into hypothermia. Almost on cue, Granddad coughed. Carla's expression flickered, not with concern, but annoyance. Mom stepped toward me. Maya, honey, stop making this bigger than it is. We only want what's best for everyone. That's why you wanted me to sign the house over on Christmas Eve? Mom blinked, her facade slipping. Carla will be the one starting a family soon. She needs stability. And I don't, I bit out. Carla rolled her eyes. Here we go. I took a breath and stepped aside, letting them see Granddad on the couch. He looked small but alert, his eyes sharp even in exhaustion. Dad narrowed his gaze. What's that box? Before I could answer, the man in black spoke for the first time. His voice was low, even, unsettling. That, he said, is why we are here. My blood chilled. This man was no friend of my parents, he was something else entirely. Carla gestured to him proudly. This is Mr. Hale. He works with, let's just say, important people. He knows the true value of the house and what's inside it. Something you clearly don't understand. Granddad inhaled sharply, his entire body tensing. Leo leaned close to me. Do you know him? I whispered. No, but I think Granddad does. The man stepped forward, eyes never leaving Granddad. It has been a long time, Elias Ward. The room froze. Mom glanced between us, confused. Ward, his name is Bennett. Carla shot her a look. Mom, stop embarrassing us. Mr. Hale's smile was thin and ghost-like. No, his name was changed. For protection. Dad finally snapped, What the hell is this? Hale ignored him. Elias, I've come for what belongs to us. Granddad's fingers dug into the arm of the couch. I don't have it. Hale tilted his head. You do. You had direct access to Dr. Adrian Ward's unfinished work. The location of the missing materials is known only to you. And now, his eyes flicked to me, likely shared with your granddaughter. Every muscle in my body tightened. Carla stepped closer, arms folded smugly. See? I told you there was something here. Leo moved between me and Hale. You need to leave. Hale raised one eyebrow. I don't take instructions from children. Leo's jaw flexed. You're trespassing. Dad found his voice again. Mr. Hale is a guest. He's helping us understand the situation. I stared at them in disbelief. You brought a stranger into our home to steal something you don't even understand? Carla sneered. You're so dramatic. We're not stealing anything. We're just doing what's right. For whom? I snapped. For you. For the family, she shot back. For everyone. You're the only one keeping us from stability. My laugh was humorless. Stability? You locked an elderly man in a freezing basement. Carla waved her hand dismissively. He survived. Granddad coughed again, harsher this time. I moved to his side. We're leaving, I said. Now. Leo's car is ready. Dad stepped toward the couch, blocking Granddad from standing. He's not going anywhere. Leo grabbed Dad's arm. Back off. Hale raised a hand calmly. Enough. We are not here to fight. We are here to retrieve what was taken from HaleTech decades ago. Your father hid it. I intend to recover it. Granddad lifted his head. Over my dead body. Dad scoffed. Oh, for God's sake, Dad, stop being dramatic. Whatever's in that box doesn't belong to you. Granddad's eyes filled with something I had never seen. Deep, burning rage. It belongs to my father and to Maya, not you. Dad's face twisted. Don't start with that garbage again. You were never a real ward. You were adopted into a better life. Our life. And this is how you repay us? My entire body went cold. Carla chimed in. Dad, don't waste your breath. Grandpa's memory is going. He barely knows what year it is. Granddad's hand tightened around mine. Maya, he whispered. Go. Take the box. Don't let them. Hale moved toward us. Leo stepped in front, blocking him. And in that single second, I realized two things at once. My parents were never going to stop. And Hale was far more dangerous than any of us had realized. I grabbed the tin box, slung my bag over my shoulder, and pulled Granddad to his feet. We're leaving, I repeated, stronger this time. Hale's voice followed us as we moved toward the back door. You can run, he said calmly, but you cannot hide truth forever. It has a way of resurfacing. I didn't turn around. Leo opened the door. Snow whirled in. Cold air slapped my face. As we stepped into the storm, Granddad leaned close to me and whispered one last, trembling warning. Maya, whatever happens next, do not let him find the room beneath the floor. And with that, we disappeared into the winter morning, carrying the secret my family was willing to imprison us for, and a truth Hale was willing to destroy us to uncover. The snow was still falling when we reached Leo's house, soft and steady, muffling the world as if it wanted to hide us. My hands were numb by the time we got inside, but not from the cold. My nerves were shot, every muscle tight, every breath too shallow. Leo locked the door behind us, testing it twice before he finally turned around. Sit, he said gently, both of you. Granddad eased himself onto the couch, his breath wheezing a little. I knelt beside him and wrapped a blanket around his shoulders. His skin felt like paper, fragile and chilled. We're safe here, Leo said, pulling the curtains shut. They won't step foot on my property. For a moment I almost believed that, but Granddad shook his head, slow and grave. No place is safe if Hale is involved. Leo and I exchanged a look. Who is he? Leo asked. And how does he know you? Granddad didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted toward the tin box sitting on the coffee table, its metal surface scratched and old, containing secrets heavy enough to pull a family apart. I sat down across from him. Granddad, please, you need to tell us everything. He rubbed a hand over his face, the weight of years pressing down. I should have told you long ago, he whispered. But I was afraid the past would hunt us again. Leo leaned forward. Start wherever you can. Granddad nodded. His voice trembled as he began. When I was a young man, I didn't know anything about my real parents. I didn't know my name wasn't Bennett. It was Elias Ward. Everything changed when I turned 23 and a package arrived on my doorstep. No return address. Inside was a letter. His eyes glistened a little. The handwriting, I recognized it from photographs I'd found hidden away years earlier. It belonged to my father, Adrian Ward. My breath caught. He sent you something? He prepared it before he died, Granddad said. It was held by one of his colleagues, passed down. The letter told me who I truly was, why I'd been taken in, why my name had been erased. He touched the tin box with trembling fingers. And it contained the first clues about Project Nova. I felt the air shift, heavier, sharper. Leo frowned. So Hale isn't just some businessman. No, Granddad said. He was part of the old HaleTech task force. They tried to seize Nova after my father refused to weaponize it. Then how is he still around? I asked. Men like him, Granddad said, don't retire. They linger, they wait, they hunt. A chill ran through me. And Hale thinks the missing pieces are here? I whispered. Granddad nodded. Because they are. Leo exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. This isn't just a family fight, then. No, Granddad said. It's a legacy fight, a scientific one, and your parents, Maya, your sister, they don't know what they've walked into. I clenched my fists. They don't care. They only want the house. Granddad closed his eyes. And because they are loud, greedy, and reckless, they have awakened someone who should never have found us. The room felt colder. Even the heater's hum couldn't warm the space between us. I looked down at the tin box. What exactly is Project Nova? Granddad opened his eyes again. Your great-grandfather discovered a way to create a clean, unlimited energy source. Simple, accessible, something that could power entire cities without pollution or depletion. That sounds, Leo blinked, revolutionary. It would have been, Granddad said, but Haletech saw something else. Endless power for weapons, machinery, control. When my father refused to hand it over, they went after him. My stomach twisted. And they killed him. Granddad nodded. They called it an accident, but we both know better. I swallowed hard. And the missing blueprint, the reason they want the house? Your great-grandfather hid the original design, Granddad said softly. Before he died, he left clues for me. Clues I was too frightened to follow. Leo's eyes narrowed. But why keep everything inside the house? Why not destroy it? Because it was his life's work, Granddad said, and because part of him believed someone worthy would continue it. He looked at me. My breath stopped. You think that's me? I whispered. I don't think, he said. I know. Silence fell, heavy, trembling. Then, softly, Granddad added, That's why I couldn't let your parents get the house. They don't understand meaning, only value, only ownership. And Carla, I said bitterly, wants it more than all of them combined. Granddad's mouth twitched. Pain, not humor. Carla always mistook wanting for deserving. Leo stood abruptly, pacing. Okay, so what's the plan? We can't stay here forever. If Hale's involved, he'll come back. He won't just knock politely next time. I looked at Leo. You think he'd break in? I think, Leo said grimly, he'll do whatever he needs. Granddad nodded. He will. Fear crawled up my spine, but beneath it, something harder, anger, a spark of defiance. He's not getting anything, I said. Not the house, not the design, not my family's legacy. Leo met my eyes. Then we need help. Who? I asked, though I already felt the answer coming. He pulled out his phone. I know someone, a lawyer, one of the best in Savannah. He typed quickly. Alana Pierce. Granddad's face relaxed. I've heard that name. Leo nodded again. She specializes in family law and complicated estate disputes. She helped my aunt when her brother tried to steal her house. I stood and began pacing. But this is bigger than an estate dispute. Yes, Leo said, which is exactly why we need someone who doesn't get intimidated. He pressed send. Within seconds, a 3-dot bubble appeared. She's awake? I said incredulously. Leo shrugged. She's always awake. He tapped his phone. She wants to meet in an hour. She says to bring all documents. I glanced at the tin. All of it? Everything you trust her with, Leo said. We have no room for half-truths now. Granddad nodded. She must know. She must be prepared for Hale. My chest tightened. What if she thinks we're crazy? Leo smiled faintly. She deals with crazy daily, but she also knows how to find the truth in it. I took a long breath. Then another. Okay, I said. Let's go. Before we left, I helped Granddad into Leo's spare coat. He leaned heavily on me as we walked down the hallway toward the door. Maya, he whispered, Yeah? You must be brave, child. Brave in ways I've never been. I felt my eyes sting. I'll try. He squeezed my hand once. You won't try. You will. Outside, the storm had stopped, leaving the world covered in clean, untouched snow. The air was sharp but calm. Leo locked the door behind us and guided Granddad to the car. I climbed into the back seat holding the tin like it was made of glass. My heart hammered as we drove through the quiet streets. Everything familiar looked different now, colder, sharper, shaded with betrayal. After a few minutes, Granddad spoke softly. They will not give up, Maya. Not your parents, not Carla, not Hale. I looked down at the tin and whispered, Then neither will I. Granddad smiled, fragile but proud. When we arrived at Alana Pierce's office, a sleek building downtown with frosted glass windows, I realized something strange. For the first time since the basement, I felt something warm, not safety, not relief, power. As Leo helped Granddad out of the car, Alana stepped through the glass doors. Tall, focused, sharp-eyed. She looked at us, then at the tin in my hands and said, Let's get to work. And right then, standing in the cold morning air, I knew this wasn't just a fight for a house anymore. It was a fight for identity, for truth, for justice, for the family I had never known I came from. And I wasn't going to lose. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, and the three of us stepped into the warm, quiet hallway of Alana Pierce's office. The contrast to the freezing chaos we'd escaped felt surreal. Everything here smelled of polished wood and professionalism. A receptionist looked up, startled by the sight of us. Granddad leaning heavily on Leo, my hair still damp from melted snow, the tin box clutched tightly to my chest. Ms. Pierce is expecting you, she said immediately, rising to her feet. We followed her into a corner office overlooking downtown Savannah, the city still wrapped in the pale morning light. Alana Pierce stood with her back to us, reviewing documents spread across her desk. When she turned around, her sharp eyes traveled from my face to the tin box in my hands, then to Granddad's weakened posture. She didn't gasp, she didn't frown. She simply said, Close the door, Maya, sit down. Tell me everything. I lowered into the chair opposite her, my fingers trembling. Granddad sank into another, and Leo stood behind us like a quiet guardian. When I opened the tin box, Alana leaned forward, her expression shifting from curiosity to focus. Start from the beginning, she said. So I did. I told her about Christmas Eve, the fight in the kitchen, the accusation that I was complicating everything. The way my parents and Carla had cornered me, their voices rising in a familiar chorus of blame. How they'd dragged Granddad and me to the basement stairs and pushed us inside. How the bolt had slammed shut. How Granddad had whispered about the wall. How we'd found the tin. How Hale showed up this morning like a shadow from nowhere. I talked until my throat ached. When I finished, the room went silent. Alana picked up the birth certificate first, then the adoption decree, then the photo of Dr. Adrian Ward. She studied each one with an intensity that made the air feel different. Charged, electric. Finally, she said, Your family didn't just cross a line, they jumped off a cliff. I blinked. So, you believe me? She looked up, almost offended. Believe you? Maya, I see dozens of cases a month where families betray each other. But what your sister did, what your parents condoned, falls under multiple criminal categories. Elder abuse, false imprisonment, fraud, coercion, possibly conspiracy. You didn't need bruises for this to be criminal. Granddad cleared his throat. And Hale? Something flickered in Alana's eyes. I'm familiar with Hale Tech. Then you know what they're capable of, he whispered. She didn't deny it. I know enough. Leo crossed his arms. So, what's our next step? Alana took a slow breath. One step at a time. First, I need to understand the family dynamic. She turned to me. Maya, tell me about Carla. My stomach tightened. She's loud, smart, but only when it benefits her. She's always had this way of taking up space. Mom and Dad loved it. She never got in trouble. I was the one who stayed home, helped with Granddad, kept the peace. She ever act violent before? Alana asked. No, I said. At least not physically. She just took. Everything she wanted, she took. And they let her. Granddad nodded weakly. Carla is her mother's daughter. Alana scribbled notes. And your parents? I bit my lip. They made excuses for her, always. They used to be better. Before Carla hit high school, they were normal. Then they just kept feeding the fire. Leo muttered, They fed the wrong fire. A ghost of a smile touched Alana's lips. Okay, and do they know anything about Ward lineage? No, I said quickly. Not the truth. They just know Granddad inherited the house. They assume it's valuable because it's old or historic. But Carla found something years ago, a notebook, fake clues about some project, and she... My chest tightened. She never let it go. Alana sat back. And Hale? Granddad's hands trembled. He worked with my father, or rather against him. Which means he thinks this house holds the original blueprint, Alana concluded, which makes him dangerous. Her calmness terrified me and reassured me all at once. She tapped her pen. Here's how we approach this. 1. We remove your parents and sister from the equation legally. 2. We file charges. 3. We protect your grandfather and this house from Haletech's reach. My heartbeat quickened. Can that even be done? Yes, she said, but it won't be easy. Leo stepped forward. When do we start? Now. She reached for a fresh legal pad. First, I need detailed statements from all of you. I'll help file for an emergency protective order for Elias. Given the elder abuse and the attempted coercion, a judge should grant it quickly. And me? I asked quietly. Her eyes softened. You too. False imprisonment applies to you as well. I felt something warm flicker in my chest. Validation. Something I hadn't felt in years. Second, Alana continued, we'll need medical evaluations for your grandfather. Documentation of his weakened condition will strengthen our case. I'll set up an appointment, Leo said immediately. Third, she added, we anticipate retaliation. I swallowed. Carla won't stop. Your sister is reckless and impulsive, Alana said. She'll double down before she backs off. I felt the truth of that settle in my bones. She'll go public, Leo said. She already tried last night. Alana nodded. I saw her first post. She framed it like concern. Then her eyes sharpened. But if she escalates, she'll make mistakes, and mistakes become evidence. She wrote something down, then looked at me again. Fourth, Maya. I need to understand something important. Why didn't you call the police last night? The question hit harder than I expected. I looked away. Because I thought, maybe I deserved it. The room went still. Granddad reached for my hand. Child, no. I've always been the one who stayed quiet, I whispered. The one who didn't fight back. I thought I was the problem. They said I overreacted, that I made things difficult. And last night, when they locked us down there, I kept thinking maybe if I had just signed... Maya, Alana cut in, her voice firm, listen to me. People raised in dysfunctional families often internalize guilt. It's not your job to sacrifice your life for people who hurt you. Her words hit like warm water on frostbitten skin. Maya, she added gently, you didn't deserve anything. They committed crimes. You survived them. A tear slipped down my cheek. I brushed it away quickly. Leo rested a hand on my shoulder. You're not alone anymore. I nodded, breathing shakily. Alana stood and walked toward a cabinet, pulling out a thick binder. There's something else, she said. Your mother left a voicemail on my office line this morning. My blood froze. She said, Alana continued calmly, quoting from her notes, please call me back. My eldest daughter is unstable. She's being influenced by the wrong people. We just want to help her. My heart twisted. Of course she did. She's building a narrative, Alana said, painting herself as the victim and you as the problem. She always has, I whispered. But now, Alana said, we build your narrative, the truth. She handed me a tissue. And we start by protecting this house. Granddad looked up sharply. The house? Yes, she said. We will file a restraining order preventing your family from entering or claiming it. And next week, she held up the adoption decree, we will challenge the Bennett claim on the property title. Granddad's eyes filled with something like relief. You can do that? With these documents? Alana smiled. Easily. A knock at the door startled all of us. The receptionist poked her head in. Ms. Pierce? There's, an issue. Alana frowned. What kind of issue? The Bennett family is here, all three of them. They're demanding to speak with you. My breath caught. Granddad's fingers tightened around mine. Leo stepped closer, protective as ever. They followed us. Of course they did. They always did. Alana didn't panic. She set the binder down and straightened her coat. Good, she said. Let them in. My eyes widened. What? Why? Because, Alana replied calmly, it's time they understand exactly what they've triggered. She walked to the door, but before she opened it, she looked back at me. Maya, you don't have to say a word today, she said softly. Just watch. Let me handle them. I nodded, pulse racing. The door swung open. I heard Carla before I saw her. Maya is out of control, and we demand to see her immediately. Then her eyes landed on me, and her voice, so loud, so confident, broke into shards. Because for the first time she saw I wasn't sitting alone. She saw my lawyer. She saw Leo. She saw Granddad. She saw that I wasn't cornered anymore. And the look on her face told me everything. This was only the beginning. Carla pushed her way into the office as if she owned the building, dragging our parents behind her in a rush of perfume, indignation, and entitlement. Her heels clacked against the hardwood floor with the same rhythm she used to deliver insults, sharp, pointed, and impossible to ignore. Mom looked flustered, cheeks pink from either anger or embarrassment, while Dad maintained the stiff posture of a man convinced he was entirely justified. Alana closed the office door quietly, a calm contrast to the storm they carried with them. She positioned herself between them and us, like she'd done it 100 times before. Leo shifted closer to me, instinctively protective, and I felt Granddad's trembling hand grip my arm. Carla took one look at Granddad in the corner, wrapped in Leo's coat, and scoffed. Oh, for God's sake, you're playing the victim card again? Carla, Alana said evenly, please take a seat. No. Carla snapped the word like a whip. Not until I understand why you're interfering in our family matters. Dad stepped forward, jaw tight. Ms. Pierce, I think you're making a mistake entertaining all these claims. Mom forced a sad, worn-out expression. We're just worried about Maya. She's been acting unstable, and now she's hiding Grandpa from us. Granddad cut her off, voice thin but fierce. You locked us in a basement. The air froze. Carla waved her hand dismissively. It wasn't like that, and you know it. You two were hysterical. We were keeping things calm. Leo clenched his fists. I could almost feel the effort it took him not to lunge forward. Alana walked slowly to her chair, sat down, and folded her hands. Let's begin, she said. Since you chose to come here unannounced, I'd like to clarify the situation. Carla smirked. Oh, please do. Yesterday evening, Alana began, you forcibly confined your elderly father and your sister in a basement during a winter storm. Mom gasped. That is not true. We didn't confine anybody, Dad said. We were redirecting a dangerous situation. A dangerous situation, Alana repeated. Meaning, what exactly? All three exchanged glances, unprepared for follow-up. Carla recovered first. Maya was having an episode. I stared at her. What episode, Carla? She crossed her arms smugly. You refused to sign papers that would secure our family's future. You were yelling, acting irrational. You scared Mom. I scared her, I echoed slowly, by saying no. Dad stepped forward. You don't understand how wills and inheritance work, Maya. There are complexities. No, Alana said flatly. There aren't. Dad blinked. Excuse me? What you did, Alana said, is called forced coercion for property transfer. That's a felony. Mom sucked in a breath. Carla rolled her eyes. Oh my God, you can't make a felony out of siblings fighting, she said. You're seriously being dramatic. Alana smiled. Dramatic? No. Thorough? Yes. She slid a folder forward onto the desk. This, she continued, is a preliminary protective order we intend to file. It prohibits you from approaching Maya or Elias Ward until a hearing can be scheduled. Ward. The name hung in the air like a sudden temperature drop. Carla's laugh died instantly. Mom frowned. Dad stared at Granddad. Ward? He repeated. Why did you say Ward? Alana didn't blink. That is his legal birth name. Mom looked startled. No, his name is Bennett. It always has been. Granddad lifted his chin, pale but steady. No, it hasn't. Dad's face twitched. This is nonsense. Alana continued calmly. In addition to the false imprisonment charge, we are also reviewing forged documents. The deed your daughter attempted to present yesterday is counterfeit. Carla stiffened. It is not counterfeit. Oh, then why does it bear the stamp of a notary who has been deceased for 2 years? Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad turned red. Oh, Alana added casually, and the signature doesn't match Maya's handwriting on any official record. Carla's face drained of color. This is a setup. A setup? Leo barked a humorless laugh. You forged her name. Carla pointed at me, shaking. You're lying. You did this to make me look bad. You did that yourself, I said quietly. She opened her mouth again, but Alana raised a hand. There's more. Dad let out a frustrated sigh. This is absurd. We came here to reason with our daughter, not to be attacked. Alana leaned back. You came here to intimidate her. Dad's jaw clenched. Mom's eyes darted between faces, already spiraling. Carla looked ready to explode. After a moment, Carla slapped her palm on Alana's desk. Fine, enough with this. Where's the house key? Alana blinked. The what? The key, Carla said impatiently. To our house. Maya took it. We need to go back. Your house? Alana repeated softly. Mom chimed in. Yes, this dispute is over property. You understand how inheritance works? Ah, Alana said, that's where you're mistaken. The house is not yours, not even partially. Dad bristled. It belongs to our family. It's been in our name for decades. No, Alana corrected. It belonged to Dr. Adrian Ward, and now it belongs to Elias and Maya. Dead silence. Every molecule of air seemed to freeze. Mom whispered, Adrian. Ward? Carla laughed again, but this time it sounded more like a gasp. You're lying. This is insane. No, Alana said. This is documented. The adoption decree is real. The inheritance trail is traceable. Legally, Adrian's estate passed to Elias, not to the Bennetts. Dad stumbled backward. Mom clutched his arm. Carla stared at Granddad as if seeing him for the first time. Not as the old man she dismissed, but as someone with a past she had never known. You hid this from us? She whispered to him. Granddad looked at her with heartbreaking exhaustion. There are things I protected you from, Carla. Things you would never have understood. Things you still don't. She stepped closer, voice rising. You're telling me we went through all this mess because you kept secrets? His eyes hardened. You nearly killed us. Don't pretend you did it for family. You did it for greed. Carla's face twisted. That house should be mine. No, I said quietly. It shouldn't. She swung toward me. You owe us, Maya. We are family. I felt something inside me snap into clarity. No, I said again. You're not acting like family. Family doesn't lock you underground. Family doesn't forge documents. Family doesn't lie about you online to make you look unstable. Only abusers do that. Her mouth dropped open. Abuser? You're calling me an abuser? Alana interjected. Everyone take a seat. We need to continue this professionally. But Carla didn't move. Her posture stiffened, trembling with fury. This isn't over, she said. You think some lawyer can stop us? You think you can run off with Grandpa and our inheritance? Granddad flinched at the word our. We're not running, I said. We're protecting him. Oh, please, she spat. You're trying to be the hero. You're nothing. You've always been nothing. Mom and Dad gave you everything, and you repay us like this? Mom spoke suddenly, her voice tight with desperation. Maya, please don't do this. We just want the family to stay together. You want control, I said. Not togetherness. Dad tried again, voice stern. You are misinterpreting. No, she isn't, Alana cut in. And this conversation is done. I'll be filing the paperwork this afternoon. Carla laughed a single sharp sound. You think a restraining order will stop us? Hale is on our side. The room went still. Alana's expression darkened. Who? Carla blinked. Mr. Hale. He's going to help us find the blueprint or whatever. He said it's worth millions. Dad held out a hand, trying to silence her, but she shrugged him off. What? He said it openly. Mom whispered, horrified. Carla, stop talking. A chill crawled down my spine. You told Hale about the blueprint? Carla smirked. Why not? We're in this together. Alana's eyes turned sharp as glass. Let me be very clear. If you are cooperating with Hale Tech, you are putting yourselves in legal danger far beyond property disputes. Dad's voice cracked. We didn't know. You don't know anything, Alana said. But Hale does, and he has a history of targeting vulnerable families for corporate gain. Carla froze. That's not what he said. He lied, Alana said. He's using you. Carla's hands shook. Something flickered through her face. Fear, confusion, denial. Then fury took over again. I don't care. We're getting that house, and nothing is going to stop us. She turned and stormed toward the door. Mom followed, already trembling. Dad gave me one last look, an unreadable mixture of anger and uncertainty, before walking out. The door slammed behind them. Silence settled slowly, like dust after an earthquake. I felt my lungs finally release the breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Leah walked over and rubbed my back gently. You did good. Granddad wiped his eyes. I'm proud of you, child. Alana exhaled and leaned back in her chair. That, she said dryly, was quite a performance. I almost laughed. Was it enough? Oh, definitely, she said. Carla just admitted to collaborating with a corporate predator. That alone gives us ammunition. I stared at the closed door. They're not going to stop. No, Alana agreed, but neither are we. She placed her hand on the tin box and tapped it gently. Now, she said, let's talk about protecting the blueprint. Leo drove us back to his house in tense, heavy silence, the late afternoon light dimming into a cold blue dusk. The kind of light that makes every shadow feel longer, every sound sharper. Granddad rested in the back seat beside me, his eyes closed, his breath shallow but steady. I kept glancing through the rear windshield, certain Carla's SUV or some unknown Hale Tech vehicle would appear behind us. But no one followed. At least not yet. When we stepped inside Leo's house, the warmth hit us like a blanket. He locked the door, checked the windows, then turned to me with worry etched deep into his expression. They're rattled, he said. Rattled people get messy. I know, I murmured. Granddad lowered himself carefully onto the couch. We don't have much time. Leo crouched beside him. You need rest. Granddad shook his head. I need to tell Maya the truth. My stomach tightened. There's more? He gave me a long, weighted look. There's far more than what I told you. Leo stood and crossed his arms. Then let's get you water first. He went to the kitchen. Granddad patted the seat next to him. Come sit, child. My legs felt unsteady as I sat beside him. The tin box lay on the coffee table between us, a small metal coffin holding the past. "I didn't tell you everything this morning," he said quietly, "because I didn't want to overwhelm you. But after Alana confronted your parents, after Carla revealed she's dragged Hailtech into this, I can't hide anything anymore." I braced myself. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded sheet of yellowed paper, different from the others. Older, more delicate. When he handed it to me, my fingers tingled. "What is it?" I whispered. "Your great-grandfather's final note. The one he wrote the day before Hailtech came for him." My breath caught. Hands shaking, I unfolded it carefully. The ink had faded, but the writing was still strong, deliberate. I read aloud. "If you are reading this, Elias, it means they found me. I could not destroy Nova. I could only separate it, protect it, hide it in two halves, one they will chase, one they will never know exists. The second half lies beneath the floor. Only blood will find it." "Only blood will find it," I repeated, voice trembling. "What does that mean?" Granddad let out a slow breath. "The blueprint is incomplete. Hailtech has been searching for decades, but they only know about one location, the first half, the decoy. And the second," he pointed at the paper, "still where he left it." "In the house?" "Yes." My pulse hammered in my ears. "Then we can't ever go back." He shook his head. "We must, eventually, because the blueprint must be destroyed or placed into the right hands, otherwise Hailtech will never stop." Leo returned with water just as my phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text from an unknown number. The hair on my arms rose before I even unlocked it. The message was short. "Come home, Maya. We need to talk." "Mom," another followed seconds later. "Bring Grandpa. Let's clear this up before it gets worse." Then a third. "Carla is upset. You owe us this conversation." My stomach churned. Leo saw my expression. "What is it?" I handed him the phone. His jaw tightened. Granddad closed his eyes. "They're desperate. They know they're losing." Leo snapped. "They're trying to lure you." I swallowed hard. "But why now? Alana already destroyed their claims." "Because of Hale," Granddad whispered. "They know he's slipping away from them. They need you before he cuts them loose." Leo muttered a curse. "We're not going back there." My phone buzzed again before he finished speaking. A picture this time. The front porch light of my house. The door wide open, snow blowing inside. Then a second picture arrived. A close-up of the floor inside the entryway. Footprints, a lot of them. My hand flew to my mouth. Leo's breath caught. "They're already inside," Granddad whispered. "Not them." I looked at him. "Who then?" He met my eyes, and his were full of old fear. "Hale." My heart plunged. "You think he—" "Yes," he said. "He wouldn't wait. He would search for the first half immediately. He knows the general area, he always has." His hand shook violently. "He's breaking in." Leo straightened. "We need to call the police." "No," Granddad said quickly. "Police won't understand. Hale will vanish before they arrive. And if he feels cornered—" He didn't finish. Leo paced, running a hand through his hair. "We can't stay here. We can't go there. What do we do?" "We need to know what he wants specifically," I said, voice wavering. "Where exactly he's looking." Granddad hesitated. "There's something else," he murmured. "Something he doesn't know." Leo and I stared at him. "The second half of Project Nova," Granddad said, "was never meant to stay in the house forever. It was meant to be safeguarded by the next generation." "Meaning?" I asked. He reached slowly for my hands. "Maya," he said softly, "you're the key." I froze. "What?" I whispered. "The phrase, 'only blood will find it.' It wasn't a metaphor. It was literal. There is a mechanism, a biometric lock, designed for someone in the Ward bloodline. Adrian never wanted the technology falling into the wrong hands." My heart pounded. "So Hale can't access it?" No, Granddad whispered, but he doesn't know that. Leo exhaled in disbelief. So he's tearing the house apart hoping to get lucky. He won't, Granddad murmured. Not without Maya. My pulse thundered. If he realizes that, he'll come for you, Leo finished harshly, which is why we need to disappear. Granddad sagged back on the couch. We can't disappear, not yet. Hale won't stop until he has leverage. Leo's jaw tightened, meaning he goes after the people closest to Maya. And that includes you, Granddad whispered. Leo lifted his chin. Let him try. My throat tightened. Stop, both of you. This isn't a movie. Hale isn't some petty criminal. He's relentless, Granddad said, and powerful, and he believes he is owed the future my father refused to give him. I closed my eyes, shaking. So what do we do? Granddad motioned to the tin box. We open the rest. My breath hitched. There's more? There's always more. Leo and I sat across from him as he gently removed the last folded sheet, a diagram so intricate it looked like a maze, symbols, coordinates, a drawing of the house foundation, and a phrase written at the bottom, "The door is not where it seems." What does that mean? I whispered. Granddad traced the lines. It means the hidden room is not under the basement. It's somewhere else entirely. Leo squinted. Then where? Granddad pointed. The breath left my lungs. The garden, I whispered. Granddad nodded. Beneath the old pecan tree. The one I climbed as a child. The one Carla avoided because she hated dirt under her nails. The one Hale would never think to search. Leo let out a low whistle. That buys us time. Not much, Granddad said. But some. The room fell into silence. Then Leo's phone buzzed. He looked at it, face turning grim. It's Alana, he said. She says she pulled traffic camera footage. I froze. Footage of what? He showed me the screen. A dark SUV, last night, parking across from Leo's house. The timestamp read 4:02 a.m. My voice trembled. Carla. Leo shook his head. No, the driver got out. He zoomed in. My throat closed. It wasn't Carla. It wasn't Dad. It wasn't Hale. It was Mom, standing in the snow, watching our door. For a long time. And then walking toward the house. I whispered, voice cracking. Why would she come alone? Granddad's face drained of color. She wasn't alone, he said. How do you know? He swallowed. Because she never acts without Carla, and Carla never acts without backup. A beat of silence. Granddad grabbed my hand with urgency. Child, he rasped, your mother wasn't watching you. He looked at Leo. She was marking the house. My house? Leo said, stunned. Why? Granddad's whisper shook. So Hale knows where to find you next. Leo swore under his breath the moment Granddad's words landed, pacing in tight circles as if the floor itself were burning under his feet. My heart slammed against my ribs, each beat aching like a bruise spreading. The idea that my mother, quiet, anxious, conflict-avoiding mom, would mark Leo's house for Hale felt unreal. But the footage didn't lie. She had been there, in the dark, knowing I was inside. Granddad leaned back against the couch, breath shaky but eyes sharp. Hale doesn't track people blindly, he said. He tracks patterns, he sends scouts, he tests weak points. Your mother has always been a weak point. I sank into the armchair across from him. Why would she do this? Why would she help him? Leo stopped pacing. Because she's scared, because Carla told her something, because your dad pushed her, because she wants to stay on the winning side. Pick any reason. I stared at the wall, feeling the world tilt, just slightly but enough to make me nauseous. She used to read me bedtime stories. She used to smooth my hair when I cried. She used to say I was her quiet child, her good child. Granddad gave me a sad, tired look. Fear changes people. It makes them choose safety over loyalty. But they chose Carla, I whispered. No, Leo said gently, kneeling beside me. They chose the version of life Carla promised them, The one where you just stay out of the way. A wave of grief hit me, sudden and suffocating. I hadn't realized until now how much of me was still waiting, hoping to wake up in a different story. One where my parents weren't willing to sacrifice me for convenience. One where I mattered. A knock on the door made all three of us freeze. Not the hard, impatient pounding Carla used. Something softer, hesitant. Leo moved silently to the peephole, his shoulders tensed. "It's your mother." My breath caught. "What? Why would she?" Another knock, small, trembling. "Maya!" My mother's voice called softly through the door. "Sweetheart, please, open up." Leo stepped back from the door and looked at me. "Don't," Granddad whispered firmly. "Don't." But something in me, something broken and bruised, stood up anyway. "I need to hear what she has to say." Leo blocked my path. "What she has to say is irrelevant. What she has to do is dangerous." "Leo," I said quietly, "move." He stared at me, jaw tight, then reluctantly stepped aside. My hands shook as I unlocked the door. When it opened, my mother stepped in with small, timid movements, bundled in a coat thrown over pajamas. Her hair was a mess. Her face looked puffy, tired, older than I'd ever seen her. And when she saw me, she burst into tears. "Oh, Maya," she sobbed, reaching out. I stepped back. Her hand froze in midair. "Sweetheart, please, I didn't come to hurt you." Leo hovered behind me like a silent wall. Granddad watched her with narrowed eyes. Mom swallowed hard. I didn't know what Carla was doing. I didn't know she hired that man. She said he was helping us. She said he could fix everything." I crossed my arms tightly. "What were you doing at Leo's house at 4 a.m? She flinched. I just wanted to see you, to make sure you were okay." "Then why didn't you knock?" She bit her lip. "Because Carla said you were under some lawyer's influence, that you would call the police, that you were planning to accuse us of crimes. I didn't know what to do." "So you stood outside in the cold," I said flatly, watching, silent. Her chin trembled. "I wanted to come in, I did. But your father said we had to wait, that we needed to handle this the right way." Granddad muttered, "The right way meaning Hale's way." Mom gasped, turning toward him. "Dad, no. I didn't. I would never betray you." "You already did," Granddad said quietly. "You walked away when we needed you most." She sagged, collapsing into a chair. "I didn't know they locked you down there. Carla told us you both went downstairs because you were upset. She said you wanted space." Leo swore under his breath again. "Of course she lied." Mom covered her mouth. When I realized, I went back to the house this morning to look for you, but you were gone, and Carla told me you stole the box." I stiffened. Mom looked at me with tear-filled eyes. "Maya, did you?" "It wasn't stealing," I said sharply. "It was ours." Leo added coldly, "And you three were trying to force her signature. Another felony." She buried her face in her hands. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I just followed your sister. I always do. I'm so tired." Her words were broken, and for a moment, I saw not the woman who stood by Carla, but the woman who had once told me stories about moonlight and kindness. The woman who used to rub circles on my back when I was sick. But sympathy wasn't enough to erase what she'd done. Leo sat on the arm of my chair. "What do you want, Mrs. Bennet?" She swallowed and looked at me. "I want to make this right, before your father does something stupid." Granddad leaned forward. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "Mom," I said sharply, "what did Dad do?" Her voice shook. He went to meet Hale." Leo shot up. "What?" Mom wrung her hands. "Carla set it up. They said they'd give him a deal. They said they just wanted information. Nothing dangerous." "What information?" I asked, dread building. Mom looked at me helplessly. "You," she whispered. "They want to know where you are." The room spun. So your father gave them this address, Granddad said. Mom's silence was answer enough. Leo moved instantly, going to the window and pulling the blinds shut. He checked the locks again. His face was pale now, too pale. They'll come for her, Mom whispered. I tried to stop him, I swear, but Carla, she convinced him you were being manipulated, that if Hale talks to you directly, you'll calm down. I laughed once, bitter and sharp. Hale doesn't talk. He hunts. Mom covered her face. I know. That's why I came. We have to leave. Now. Granddad's hand shook around his cane. She's right. Hale won't wait. Leo grabbed his keys. I'll pull the car around. Where do we go? I whispered. Anywhere but here, Leo said. Alana's office to file for emergency protection. Then maybe a hotel, somewhere off-grid. Mom looked at me desperately. Please, let me help you. Let me come with you. I won't go back home. I won't stay with them. I choose you. My heart twisted painfully. We don't have time, Granddad rasped. We move now. Leo opened the door to step outside, and froze. Then he slammed it shut again. What? I whispered, panic surging. There's a car parked across the street, he said. Black, tinted windows. My stomach dropped. Hale? Then a sharp metallic tapping echoed through the front window. Tap, tap, tap. Leo pulled me back as a shadow moved outside the glass. A voice drifted through the cold air, calm, deep, terrifyingly certain. Maya, Hale called softly. I think it's time we talked. Mom gasped and stumbled backward. Granddad grabbed my hand. Leo stepped in front of me. Hale tapped again, a polite knock on the window of our fear. Maya, he repeated, voice smooth as ice. Open the door. Leo didn't move. None of us did. The house fell into a suffocating silence, except for the wind brushing against the windows and Hale's rhythmic tapping, slow, patient, confident. It was the sound of a man who knew he was in control, a man who expected obedience. Maya, he called again, voice muffled by the glass. I promise I only want to talk. Leo whispered, Don't believe a word of it. My mother trembled violently. He followed me, she gasped. Oh God, this is my fault. I grabbed her arm. Mom, look at me. Right now, panic won't help. We need you calm. She nodded shakily, but her eyes kept darting toward the window as if expecting Hale to burst through at any moment. Granddad's fingers dug into my sleeve. Child, listen to me. You must not go with him. Whatever he says, whatever he promises, he intends to use you. Tap, tap, tap. Maya, Hale called again. If you don't open the door, things will get inconvenient for all of us. Leo muttered, I'm calling the police. Before he could dial, Granddad grabbed his wrist. No, don't. Leo frowned. He's on your lawn. That's trespassing. We need help. Granddad shook his head, breath shallow. The police will only escalate things. Hale will disappear before they arrive. And if he feels cornered... He didn't finish, but the implication was enough to still Leo's hand. Tap. A shadow shifted just beyond the curtains. Maya, Hale said, softer now, almost coaxing. I know you're scared, but fear comes from ignorance. Let me explain what your great-grandfather started. Let me explain why Project Nova matters. Hearing him say it, out loud, felt like ice water dripping down my spine. Leo gripped my arm. He knows about the project, that's not good. Granddad's voice went brittle. He knows enough, but not how to finish it. I swallowed hard. What does he want me for? Granddad's eyes locked on mine, full of ancient dread. Because only you can unlock the second half. Tap, tap. Hale's voice slid through the room like a knife slipping under a door. You don't have much time to decide. My mother sobbed softly. Leo leaned close. We're getting out. Back door, now. He moved quickly, ushering Mom toward the kitchen, but Granddad shook his head violently. No, not the back. Why? I whispered. Granddad's gaze darkened. Because Hale never comes alone. My stomach sank. You think someone's back there? Leo froze mid-step. He crept toward the kitchen window, lifting the corner of the curtain the smallest inch. He inhaled sharply. There's another car, he whispered. 2 men inside, not moving. Granddad's whisper trembled. He's boxing us in. Hale knocked on the window again, a gentle tap that felt like a threat. Maya, don't make this difficult. Your family already has. Leo stepped back from the window, breathing hard. We need another exit. My bedroom window, Mom said suddenly. It opens onto the side yard, no line of sight from either car. Leo nodded. Okay, that's an option. But how do we get Granddad out? I asked. We carry him, Leo said simply. Granddad protested weakly. I'm not helpless. You are right now, Leo said gently but firmly, and we're not leaving you behind. Suddenly, the tapping stopped. All of us held our breath. A full 10 seconds passed. Then Hale's voice came again, calm, cold, and too close. Maya, I'm coming in. My heart lurched. A hand twisted the front doorknob. He was testing it. Thank God Leo had locked it. Leo whispered, Go, now. He rushed to help Granddad stand as I grabbed the tin box and my coat. My mother hovered by the hallway, wringing her hands. Come on, I said, pushing her gently forward. We moved quickly down the hallway toward her old bedroom on the right, the shadows long and sharp in the dim light. My pulse thudded in my ears. Behind us, a faint metallic scraping echoed at the front door. Hale was trying to pick the lock. My mother let out a quiet sob. Leo shoved open her bedroom door. Window, he said, already lifting it. Cold air rushed in, carrying the sharp bite of winter. He helped Mom through first. She stumbled into the snow, staying low. Then he guided Granddad carefully, lifting him over the sill with surprising strength. I was last. As I climbed onto the windowsill, a loud cracking sound echoed through the house. Metal giving way. Hale had broken the lock. Maya! Leo hissed. Jump! I jumped into the snow just as footsteps sounded inside the house. Leo dropped out after me, landing hard. Then, silence. We crouched behind the bushes that lined the side of the yard, breath fogging in the air. Leo pressed a finger to his lips. We listened, heard nothing. Then, tap, tap, but this time from the hallway in front of Mom's room. Maya, Hale called softly, I know you went this way. Mom whimpered. Leo tightened his grip on my arm. Hale's footsteps grew closer. We had to move, now. Leo whispered, Crawl toward the fence. Slow, don't stand yet. We crawled through the snow, cold soaking into my knees, my palms going numb. Granddad grunted softly with every movement, but he pushed forward. Mom's breaths were ragged. Leo kept glancing back at the window. We were halfway to the fence when we heard the bedroom window squeak open wider. Hale was looking outside. Maya? His voice drifted out, eerily calm. Are we really going to play hide and seek? Leo mouthed. Keep moving. We reached the fence. It was tall, old, wooden, the kind that creaked if you breathed on it wrong. Leo helped Mom over first. She scrambled down on the other side. Next was Granddad. It took everything Leo had to lift him gently without making noise. The fence groaned once. We froze. Hale went quiet, dead silent. Then a whisper floated out the window. You're running out of places to hide. Leo motioned urgently. Go! I climbed the fence next. My coat snagged on a splinter and tore, but I didn't stop. I dropped into the neighbor's yard, knees buckling in the snow. Leo followed, landing beside me. Then he pulled us all forward, through the dark yard, around the shed, and toward the neighbor's side gate. The house was blessedly dark, empty, probably on vacation for the holiday. We slipped onto the street. Leo supported Granddad as we hurried down the sidewalk, half running, half stumbling. Where's your car? Mom cried softly. Around the block, Leo said. If he blocked the driveway, he won't expect us to double back. We rounded the corner. Leo's car was there, frosted over, untouched. He dug out the keys with shaking hands. That's when we heard a door slam behind us. I turned. Hale stood at the far end of the street, hands in his coat pockets. Snow falling around him like ash. He didn't run, he just looked at us, at me. Even from a distance, I felt the ice in his gaze. He lifted one hand and pointed at me slowly, deliberately, like marking a target. Then he smiled, not wide, not mocking, just certain. Leo yanked open the car doors. Inside, now. We piled in, Mom shaking, Granddad clutching the tin box. Leo slammed his foot on the gas and the car fishtailed in the snow before gripping the road and speeding forward. I twisted in my seat. Hale didn't chase us. He just watched, standing still, like he knew this wasn't the end, like he knew where we'd go next. Leo turned at the next intersection, speeding toward downtown lights. I held the tin box tight against my chest, heart hammering so hard it hurt. Granddad placed a trembling hand over mine. "Maya," he whispered, voice cracking with dread. "I'm so sorry." Before I could answer, Leo spoke through clenched teeth. "We're going to Alana. Right now." Mom murmured a prayer under her breath. Granddad closed his eyes, and I realized with sinking certainty that Hale had no intention of catching us tonight. He wanted something else. He wanted fear. He wanted pressure. He wanted the truth to rise to the surface on its own, and he knew exactly how to force it out. Leo pulled into the underground parking garage beneath Alana's office building, the tires screeching slightly on the icy concrete. The car rolled to a shaky stop, and for a long moment none of us moved. Our breaths fogged the interior, the heater struggling to keep up with our panic. Mom wiped her eyes with trembling fingers. Did he follow us? Leo checked the rearview mirror again, jaw tight. I don't see him, but Hale doesn't need to follow. He anticipates. Granddad's breathing was shallow, ragged. I reached back and squeezed his cold hand. We're okay, I whispered. We're together. That's what matters. But deep down, I wasn't sure. Leo opened his door quietly. Let's go. Alana needs to know everything. We helped Granddad out of the car. His legs buckled at first, but he steadied himself with Leo's support. Mom followed behind, her steps unsteady, eyes darting like she expected Hale to emerge from the shadows. As we approached the elevator, my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. My stomach dropped before I even looked. You can run, but you are Ward blood, and Ward blood always comes home. My breath caught. My hands went numb. Leo glanced at the screen and swore violently. He got your number. Fantastic, just fantastic. Granddad whispered, He's closing in. The elevator dinged. I shoved my phone into my pocket, trying not to tremble visibly. When the doors opened on the 7th floor, Alana was already standing outside her office, arms crossed, expression sharp and unreadable. I saw the footage, she said, ushering us inside quickly. I saw everything. We stepped into her office and she locked the door behind us, something she hadn't done before. You look frozen, she said, gesturing to chairs. Sit. Tell me what happened. Leo unloaded everything. Hale's appearance at the house, the second car with the men, the window escape, my mother's confession, the text. Alana absorbed it all silently. When he finished, she exhaled slowly and rubbed her temples. This has escalated beyond property disputes. Mom choked out a soft apology. I didn't mean, Alana held up a hand. Mrs. Bennett, I don't have time for guilt. Your husband gave Hale your daughter's location. That puts all of you at immediate risk. Mom's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks again. Leo helped Granddad sit, while Alana pulled out a new file, thick, with colored tabs and legal notes covering every margin. I've spent the last few hours researching, she said, and what I found is disturbing. She handed me a document, a printed article from a long-defunct science journal. Headline, The Disappearance of Project Nova. Cover-up or accident? My pulse raced as I scanned the words beneath it. Alana continued, her voice calm but tight. This article was scrubbed from most archives decades ago, but my father, God bless him, kept copies of everything. He was fascinated by scientific scandals. She shot Granddad a meaningful look. One of the last mentions of Adrian Ward was in relation to this project, and the final line of the article said investigators found inconsistencies in Hailtech's involvement. Granddad nodded bitterly, because they sabotaged him. What we didn't know, Alana said, was how far they went. She pulled up another file on her laptop, footage, still photos, names. These men, Alana said, have been tied to accidental lab fires, missing scientists, and corporate espionage. Hailtech paid out settlements quietly. Leo leaned over the desk. So Hale isn't just an executive, he's a fixer. He's a predator, Alana said flatly, the kind who never leaves loose ends. I felt sick, and now he wants me. Of course he does, she whispered. You're the only living Ward who can access the second half of Project Nova. My throat tightened, but we haven't even found the room yet. Which means he'll use pressure, she said. Manipulation, fear, people around you. She glanced at my mother. People he assumes you'll protect. Mom sobbed quietly into her hands. Alana added, and Hale knows your sister. That gives him leverage. Leo swore. Carla will hand Maya over on a platter if he asks. I felt the truth of that like a physical blow. Granddad reached for the tin box. His voice shook. There's something you don't understand. Something Hale never learned. I stared at him. What is it? Granddad touched the folded diagram inside the tin. The reason Project Nova was split in two was not just to prevent misuse. It was because only a Ward could reunite it. We know that, I said. No, he said firmly. You don't know the rest. He turned the diagram over. A second layer of ink, so faded it had been nearly invisible, formed as he held it to the lamp. Letters, curved, delicate, familiar. My pulse quickened. What does it say? Granddad whispered the words like a prayer. The second door opens only to truth freely given, not stolen, not forced. Alana's eyes narrowed. Truth? Leo frowned. What truth? Granddad looked at me. Yours. My breath hitched. Mine? He nodded slowly. Project Nova's key is not technology. It's a safeguard, one my father added when he realized Hale was coming for him. The lock responds to emotional resonance, honesty, identity, the genuine heart of the bloodline. I stared at him in stunned silence. You, he said softly, must claim who you are, not who they wanted you to be. My chest tightened painfully. Mom shook her head. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense, Alana said sharply. Your father was trying to protect the future, and Maya is the future. Before I could answer, the office lights flickered. Once, twice. Leo snapped his head up. Power outage? Alana stood immediately. No, this building has a redundant backup system. Lights don't just flicker. Granddad gripped the arm of his chair. He's here. No, Leo said, moving quickly to the door. He can't get up here without bypassing security. Alana's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face drained of color. He already did. The text was a single line. You really should replace your night guard. He doesn't do well under pressure. My stomach dropped. Mom let out a strangled scream. Alana grabbed her coat. We're leaving, now. Leo rushed to the blinds and peeked out the window. He inhaled sharply. What? I whispered. He closed the blinds again, his face grim. Black SUV downstairs, running, and someone is leaning against it. Who? I whispered. Your father. My breath stopped. Dad? He looks shaken, Leo said, like he regrets everything. But he's waiting. For me? I whispered. For all of you, Alana said tightly. Hale wants everyone together. Mom bolted to the window, pulled the curtains aside just enough to see. and collapsed into a sobbing heap. "Jim," she whispered, hands shaking. "Oh, God, what did he do?" Granddad rasped. "He made a deal." I felt cold. "What kind of deal?" Alana answered, voice like steel. "The kind men make when they're cornered. He's offering himself as leverage, or a distraction, or bait." "That doesn't make sense," I whispered. "No," she said. "But men like your father don't think clearly under pressure. Hale promised him something. Money, protection, a second chance. Who knows, but if Jim Bennett is standing guard for Hale, then the situation is worse than I anticipated." Leo turned to me. "We aren't walking to that car." "No," Alana said. "We're going out the back. We can't outrun him forever," I whispered. "You don't have to," Alana said. "You just have to get to a judge before he gets to you." My breath trembled. "Why?" "Because," she said, opening a drawer and pulling out a sealed envelope, "I have what we need." She handed it to me. "This is the petition for a temporary emergency injunction protecting you and your grandfather. If we file this tonight, Hale's actions become criminal, not civil, criminal." Leo blinked. "Can that stop him?" "No," Alana said. "But it gives us the legal right to bring federal eyes into this." "Federal?" Mom whispered. "Yes," Alana said. "Because once Nova is mentioned in a legal filing, it becomes a national concern, and Hale Tech cannot operate in the shadows anymore." Granddad stared at her with awe. "You're risking everything." "I'm doing my job," she said simply. The lights flickered again, hard this time, plunging the room into near darkness before they flared back to life. We all froze. Then footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, approaching. Mom covered her mouth, trembling. "It's him!" Alana grabbed our coats. "Back exit, now, go!" Leo grabbed Granddad. I grabbed the tin box, and as we moved toward the emergency door, I heard Hale's voice from the hallway, calm and cold and terrifyingly close. "Maya, I'm done knocking." The doorknob rattled, the metal bent, and then the door began to open. Leo yanked the emergency exit door open just as the main office door behind us groaned under the weight of Hale's strength. The sound was unnatural, metal bending, straining, surrendering. We spilled into the dimly lit service corridor, the heavy door slamming shut behind us. Alana locked it with trembling fingers, then grabbed the handle of the stairwell door and hissed, "Down, fast!" We hurried down concrete steps that echoed too loudly, each footfall sounding like a beacon for whoever might be following. Granddad clung to the railing with one hand, to Leo's arm with the other, his breath ragged. Mom stumbled more than she walked, sobbing quietly as she descended. I held the tin box to my chest so tightly the metal edges dug into my palms. Above us, the emergency exit rattled. Then, a single metallic bang vibrated through the stairwell. Hale had found the door. Alana's voice was a harsh whisper. "Move!" 2 more flights. 3. When we burst into the underground level, the air stung with cold. We rushed through a side door into a narrow alley behind the building, the kind of alley nobody wanted to walk through, with flickering lights, old dumpsters, and shadows that felt too alive. Leo scanned the open space. "Where's your car, Alana?" "Across the street," she said. "Black sedan. We're heading for the courthouse. They keep judges available for after-hours emergencies." Granddad swayed. I can't keep up a fast pace." "You don't have to," Leo said, sweeping him into his arms before Granddad could protest. "I've got you." We darted toward the mouth of the alley, boots splashing through shallow puddles as the winter air cut through our coats. My lungs burned with cold and fear. A sound echoed behind us. The stairwell door, opening, Alana's breath hitched. "Run!" We sprinted across the alley entrance just as a figure stepped into view at the far end, not close enough to see his face but unmistakable in posture and presence. "Hale!" He started walking forward. Leo cursed and picked up speed. "Go! Go!" We reached the sidewalk. Across the icy street, the courthouse loomed in massive stone, and next to it, Alana's sedan sat under a streetlight, close, So close. But when Leo reached the first parked car along the curb, he slowed. Wait, something's wrong. What? I gasped. His eyes narrowed. That police cruiser, wipers are moving, but the lights are off. Mom blinked. So? So cruise control doesn't work when a car is off, Leo said. Someone's inside. Alana's jaw clenched. Hale called them. I felt something drop inside me. The police. Are with him? Maybe not officially, she said. But he has leverage everywhere. I told you, he doesn't leave loose ends. Granddad whispered, We're trapped. No, Leo growled, not yet. He scanned the street again, calculating. The courthouse had multiple entrances, but the front was where cameras and potential ambushes were. The side entrances were locked after hours, but then he saw it. The loading ramp, he said. Basement entrance, it's open. Alana followed his gaze and nodded. Good, that gets us inside without being seen. We hurried across the street just as the cruiser door opened and a uniformed officer stepped out, adjusting his coat and scanning the area. Leo swore again. Move! We slipped behind a row of parked cars, keeping low. The officer didn't notice us, yet. But Hale was getting closer. The sound of his measured footsteps on pavement was unmistakable. We reached the courthouse ramp just as wind gusted fiercely, blowing snowflakes sideways in sheets. The ramp descended underground to a metal service door left slightly ajar. A single dim bulb cast a weak circle of light. Leo pushed the door open carefully. Go inside. I'll follow. He let Mom and Granddad enter first, then me, then Alana. The moment Leo stepped through, he gently shut the door. Darkness enveloped us, except for the faint glow ahead. A long corridor, pipes overhead, concrete walls. We moved quickly, our footsteps hollow but steady. Alana whispered, If we get to the records room, I can access the emergency filing system. Once the injunction is logged, it becomes part of the federal database. And that helps how? I asked breathlessly. Because Hale Tech can't erase federal records, she said. They can erase people, but not that. We turned a corner and froze. A second police officer stood at the end of the hall. He wasn't surprised to see us. He stepped forward slowly. Ms. Bennett? Ms. Ward? Ward. Hearing my name like that hit me like a slap. He continued, voice too polite. I'm here to escort you. Alana stepped in front of me. Officer, this is a protected client. He held up a hand. Ma'am, please don't make this complicated. Leo moved between us and the officer, fists clenched. We're not going anywhere with you. The officer's eyes flicked to Leo. Something cold passed through his expression. Son, I'm not here to arrest anyone. I was instructed to bring Ms. Bennett to a safe car. Mom stepped forward, almost hopeful. A safe car? Granddad croaked. Don't trust him. The officer continued slowly, as if reading from a script. Your father is very worried. He asked us to bring you all to him. My stomach twisted. Dad? The officer nodded. Yes. He said things have gotten out of hand. He wants to talk, settle things before lawyers get involved. Alana laughed. Short, dry, furious. Nice try. The officer's jaw tightened. Ma'am, he's your father. He wants a peaceful resolution. I stepped backward, shaking my head. My father doesn't call the police. He hides behind them. Ms. Bennett, the officer said softly, if you resist, this becomes a legal matter. No, Alana said sharply. It becomes entrapment. The officer's hand moved toward his belt. Not his gun, but his radio. Leo stiffened. Don't. The officer hesitated, then lowered his hand. And that's when we heard it. Footsteps behind us. Footsteps in front of us. We were boxed in from both ends. Hale was no longer alone. I felt my breath hitch. What do we do? Alana whispered. Only one thing. She grabbed my arm and shoved the tin box into my hands. Run! Before I could react, she slammed her shoulder into the officer in front of us, knocking him sideways with a startled grunt. Leo grabbed Granddad and pulled him toward a narrow maintenance door to our right. Mom stumbled after him. Alana shouted, "Maya, move!" I ran. The corridor blurred as I sprinted toward the door Leo was holding open. Behind me, the officer yelled, "Stop! Stop right there!" I didn't stop. Leo yanked me through the doorway and slammed the door shut. "This way." We raced down a steep concrete staircase that seemed to go deeper underground than anything above had suggested. Mom panted desperately. "Where does this lead?" "The old archives," Alana said, breathless as she ran beside me. "They were sealed off years ago. Hale won't know the layout." We reached the bottom of the stairs and burst into a cavernous room lined with old shelves, dusty file boxes, broken furniture. It smelled of mold and history. Leo shoved a metal cabinet against the door. "That'll hold them for a few minutes." Mom collapsed against a pillar, sobbing. Granddad sank onto a crate, clutching his chest. I need a moment." I knelt beside him. "Breathe. Just breathe." Leo looked at the tin box still clutched in my shaking hands. "Whatever he wants, it's in there, or connected to it." Alana paced, thinking fast. "He's not after the box. He's after her." Mom sobbed harder. My baby, my baby." Granddad lifted his eyes to mine. "Child, we have to talk, now." I swallowed. "Granddad?" He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded map, one we hadn't seen before. "This," he whispered, "is the real secret. The location of the second door. I didn't show it earlier because I was afraid." My heartbeat roared in my ears. "Where?" He pointed to a hand-drawn symbol. "The old pecan tree." I shook my head. "You already said that." "No," he said urgently. "Not under it." Then the floor vibrated, footsteps overhead, dozens of them. Granddad whispered, "The door is in the tree." Before I could ask what that meant, the overhead door shuddered violently. Hale's voice echoed through the metal. "Maya, stop running." Leo grabbed a rusted pipe like a weapon. Alana pulled out her phone, dialing emergency numbers again and again. Mom covered her ears. Granddad pressed the map into my hands. "If anything happens to me, if anything happens tonight, you must go to the tree." The metal door screeched as someone pried it open. "Maya," Hale called, calm as death. "Open the door." I stood frozen, then something inside me cracked. Not fear, but resolve. "No," I whispered. Leo stepped beside me. "We're not giving him anything." Alana positioned herself like a shield. Mom sobbed. Granddad whispered a prayer. The door above tore open with a scream of metal, and Hale stepped inside the dark room, no longer knocking, no longer coaxing, but hunting. Hale stepped into the dark archive room as if he owned it, the weak overhead bulbs casting his tall frame into long, predatory shadows. His coat brushed against the scattered shelves, his shoes silent on the concrete floor. He wasn't out of breath. He wasn't rattled. He looked like a man arriving precisely on schedule. Mom whimpered and sank behind a wooden crate. Leo lifted the rusted pipe higher, muscles tight, ready to swing if he had to. Alana positioned herself beside him, blocking Hale's line of sight to me and Granddad. But Hale didn't look at any of them. He looked only at me. "Maya," he said softly, "why do you keep running? You know you'll end up right where you started." Leo spat. "Stay back." Hale didn't even spare him a glance. "If I wanted to stop him," he murmured, "he wouldn't be standing." Granddad clutched my arm. "Don't speak to him. Don't answer anything." I held the tin box against my chest, pulse hammering so hard I swore Hale could hear it. Hale stepped forward. "Put that down, Maya. It's not important anymore." Alana narrowed her eyes. "Then why chase us?" He smiled, cold, sharp, "Because Maya has something far more valuable." Leo shifted. "She has nothing for you." "Nothing?" Hale repeated, amused. "She has the bloodline. She has the key. She is the key." Granddad surged forward with surprising strength. "You know nothing about her." Hale tilted his head, I know her better than you think, Elias. Better than even her parents. Better than her sister. You see, Carla told me everything once I persuaded her to trust me. Mom gasped. You manipulated Carla? She's just a girl. Hale laughed, a low, icy sound. She's a woman who believes she deserves the world. Easy to control. And your husband? He shrugged. He was even easier. Mom covered her mouth, shaking. Hale's gaze returned to me. Your family is so predictable, Maya. But you still surprise me. His eyes flickered with something colder. You remind me of Adrian. Granddad stiffened. Don't say his name. He was stubborn, too. Hale's voice dropped to a whisper. Brilliant, but stubborn. Leo stepped forward. Leave, now. Hale sighed. I don't want to hurt any of you, truly. I want cooperation. I'm offering protection, stability, wealth. Alana barked a humorless laugh. You're offering coercion, extortion, and kidnapping. He gave her a flat look. Lawyers always dramatize. Footsteps thudded down the hallway behind him. 2 men appeared in the stairwell, dressed in security uniforms that were absolutely not from this building. Hale Tech's private operatives. They blocked the only exit. Mom clutched her chest. Oh, God. Hale spread his hands. Maya, the game is over. You can't run anymore. You can't hide. And you can't fight me. I swallowed hard, voice trembling. What do you want? Granddad hissed. Don't ask him. What I want, Hale said, stepping closer, is access. I backed up instinctively, the tin box pressing hard against my ribs. To what? Alana demanded. Hale laughed softly. Don't pretend you don't know. Granddad whispered fiercely. He wants the second door, child. He wants the tree. Hale's eyes gleamed. Ah, so you told her. My heart sank. You knew? Of course, he said. Adrian Ward was many things, but subtle he was not. A tree? A map written with ink that only appears when heated? It wasn't difficult to unravel. Granddad's face went chalk white. That's impossible. He never revealed the second location. He didn't need to, Hale said. Men like him always leave breadcrumbs, and men like me always find them. Leo stepped closer to me, blocking Hale's path. You'll walk over my dead body before you get her. Hale gave him a pitying look. Don't tempt me. The 2 men behind him stepped further into the room. I felt my knees buckle. Alana whispered urgently, Maya, look at me. I forced my gaze away from Hale. Maya, she said softly, you're smarter than he is. Don't play into his narrative. He wants you scared. He wants you frozen. Don't let him decide the next move. But I couldn't breathe. The air felt too thick, too cold, too full of Hale's presence. He stepped closer. Give me the map. Give me the location. And I will let your family go. Don't trust him, Leo growled. Hale shrugged. I always keep my word. Granddad barked a harsh laugh. Your word killed my father. A flicker crossed Hale's face, the first crack in his composure. Your father destroyed himself. I merely guided the outcome. Something inside me snapped. Stop, I said, voice shaking but loud enough to echo against the concrete pillars. Don't you dare speak about him like that. Hale raised an eyebrow. You barely knew him. I know enough, I said, stepping forward despite Leo's arm trying to hold me back. I know he believed in something bigger than you, bigger than Hale Tech, bigger than greed. Hale's eyes narrowed. And what did that belief get him? Oblivion. His name erased, his work stolen, his legacy buried. He kept it from you, I whispered. That's his legacy. The words hung between us. Hale's jaw clenched. Bring me the map, Maya. No, I said. Alana stared at me with a mix of fear and respect. Hale exhaled slowly, almost sadly. I didn't want it to go this way. He lifted a hand. His men stepped forward. Leo raised the pipe. Alana reached for another heavy object on the floor. My heart raced so violently I thought it would burst. I clutched the tin box, and then something strange happened. A soft hum, faint, barely there, but real. The box vibrated lightly in my hands. Granddad gasped. "It's activating!" "What?" Leo whispered. "The ink," Granddad said, eyes wide. "The bloodlock reacts to stress, to fear, to lineage. Maya, it's responding to you." Hale's eyes widened in shock. No, that's not possible." Glowing lines began to appear faintly on the map inside the box, soft, golden, pulsing like a heartbeat. A symbol appeared near the tree's drawing. A symbol I had never seen before. A circle, a door, a warning, and a phrase in my great-grandfather's handwriting: "When the blood awakens, the path unlocks." Hale stepped forward, desperate now. "Give me that map." "No," I whispered. His men lunged. Leo swung the pipe, hitting one in the shoulder. The man staggered, but didn't fall. Alana smashed her makeshift weapon against the other's arm, buying us seconds. Hale surged toward me. I backed up, heart pounding, gripping the tin box like a shield. Granddad shouted, "Maya, the exit on the left!" I turned, a rusted metal door half hidden by old filing cabinets. Leo shoved one of the attackers aside and raced toward the door, grabbing the handle. "It's open!" Alana pushed Mom forward. "Go, now!" Hale roared. "Stop her!" But momentum was on our side now. Mom slipped through the door first. Granddad followed, Leo supporting him. Alana grabbed my arm, pulling me as Hale lunged. His fingers brushed mine, cold, hungry, certain. "Maya!" I shifted my weight and threw myself through the doorway as Leo slammed the metal door shut behind us. We heard Hale crash into the other side, pounding his fists against the metal, but the lock clicked, a thick final sound. Then silence. Granddad slumped against the wall, trembling. "Child, you unlocked it. The path is open to you." Leo gasped for breath, eyes wild. "Where does this go?" Alana checked the emergency map on the wall. Her voice shook. "It leads outside the courthouse, straight toward the riverfront." Mom whispered, "Why there?" Granddad stared at the map glowing faintly inside the tin. "To get to the tree," he whispered. "To the second door. To finish what Adrian started." I exhaled, gripping the tin box. Hale's distant shouting echoed faintly behind the metal door. He would break through soon. And when he did, he'd come for me with everything he had. But for the first time, I wasn't paralyzed by fear. I knew where we had to go, and I knew what I had to do. "Let's go," I said, lifting the tin box. "We're going to the tree." The metal door behind us shuddered again, Hale's fists pounding against it with furious precision. The sound echoed down the narrow emergency passageway, each strike vibrating through the concrete walls like a warning. We moved as fast as Granddad's frail body allowed, our feet splashing through shallow puddles left by leaking pipes. The air smelled of rust and old dust, and every flickering bulb above us felt like it could die at any second. "Keep going," Alana whispered harshly. "The passage should end in a service tunnel beneath the riverfront." Mom stumbled over debris, but Leo steadied her without slowing. Granddad leaned against me, his breath wheezing in short bursts. I held the tin box tightly, its weight both terrifying and comforting. Behind us, another crash sounded, the unmistakable sound of metal starting to bend. Hale was breaking through. Leo muttered a curse. "He's stronger than he looks." Granddad rasped. "He's relentless. He always was." We reached a T-shaped intersection. The map on the wall was smeared, water-damaged, but Alana squinted at it, tracing the faded lines with her finger. "This way," she said, turning left. We followed her into a wider corridor lined with old maintenance panels, many of them broken or sparking faintly. The hum of electricity vibrated through the floor. Granddad stumbled, and I caught him. "Almost there," I whispered. He nodded weakly. "Child, remember what Adrian wrote. The path unlocks with truth. When the moment comes, don't be afraid." I swallowed hard. "I won't be." A lie, maybe, but one I needed to say. We emerged into a cavernous concrete room that smelled of river water and machine oil. Large steel pipes ran along the walls. A metal ladder led to a hatch above, stenciled faintly with the words, "Access to Riverfront Maintenance Deck." "That's our exit," Alana said. "Let's get you up." Leo climbed first and pushed open the hatch. Cold air rushed down as he hauled himself out. He reached back for Granddad, but Mom cried out softly when footsteps echoed behind us. Closer this time, echoing through the tunnel. Hale had broken through. Alana gestured frantically. "Get him up!" Leo gripped Granddad under the arms and lifted. I scrambled up behind them, gripping the rungs with shaking hands. Mom followed, sobbing quietly as she climbed. Alana came last, and just as she reached the hatch, a shadow appeared in the tunnel below. Hale. His voice drifted upward, soft and chilling. "Maya, don't make me chase you anymore." Alana slammed the hatch shut, and Leo dropped the locking bar across it. The cold air bit into my skin, but the relief of fresh wind nearly brought me to tears. We stood on a narrow metal walkway overlooking the river, dark water churning beneath the moonlit sky. Snowflakes drifted sideways in the wind, stinging our faces. Mom hugged herself, teeth chattering. "Where do we go now?" Alana pointed toward a narrow service road leading up toward the public park. "That way. The tree is on the far side of the property line. If the second door is really there, we need to reach it before Hale does." Leo adjusted Granddad's coat. "Let's move." We hurried along the walkway, our shadows stretching long against the concrete wall. The river roared beneath us, black and endless. When we reached the service road, my breath caught. The park was eerily silent. The old pecan tree stood at the crest of the hill, its twisted branches reaching into the night sky like skeletal fingers. Snow clung to its bark, and the ground beneath it was undisturbed. Perfect. Untouched, waiting. Granddad exhaled shakily. "We made it." But before the relief could settle, lights flickered at the far end of the park. 2 dark cars, silent. Then a third set of headlights appeared. "No," Leo whispered. "He found us. How?" Granddad closed his eyes. "He always finds what he wants." The cars spread out, blocking each possible escape path. Men stepped out, 3, 4, 6, all wearing black coats, all moving with eerie uniformity. And then Hale stepped into the glow of the headlights, coat whipping in the wind. "Maya," he called, voice amplified by the open field. "I must admit, you're resourceful, but this ends tonight." Mom let out a strangled cry. "Please, just leave her alone. She's done nothing to you." Hale didn't even look at her. His eyes were fixed entirely on me. Leo stepped in front of me, pipe in hand. "You're not getting her." Hale smiled slightly. "Do you really believe you can stop me? Or are you pretending because she's watching?" Something inside me snapped at the calm arrogance. I stepped forward. "Hale," I said, voice shaking but loud, "you don't want me. You want power, and you think I can give it to you, but you don't understand anything about what my great-grandfather created." He tilted his head. "Then enlighten me." Granddad clutched my coat. "Child." "The warning." I looked at him. "I know." Then I turned back to Hale. "You think Project Nova is an energy source, a limitless one, clean, efficient, revolutionary, but that isn't the whole truth." He frowned slightly. I lifted the tin box. Nova wasn't designed to be used. It was designed to be judged. Hale's eyes narrowed. "You're lying." I shook my head. He built in a failsafe, a safeguard that prevents anyone with corrupt motives from accessing the full design. That safeguard isn't a lock. It's a test. Hale's breath caught, just faintly, but enough. Behind me, Leo whispered, "Maya, what are you doing?" I ignored him. "It can sense intention," I said. "It can sense greed, violence, ego. Anyone who approaches the second door with those things in their heart will never open it." Hale took a step forward, face tightening. "That's nonsense," he muttered. "Technology doesn't work like that." "This one does," I whispered. He lunged toward the tree. "Stop!" Granddad cried, but Hale ignored him, reaching for the trunk. As his gloved hand touched the bark, nothing happened. No vibration, no glow, no shift. The tree remained still, silent, unmoving. Hale turned back to me, fury twisting his features. "Enough games!" He stepped toward me. Leo swung the pipe, but one of Hale's men intercepted him, tackling him to the ground. Mom screamed. Alana reached for her phone, but another operative snatched it away and grabbed her arms. I stood alone. Hale grabbed my wrist. "You will show me how to open it." "No," I whispered. His fingers dug into my skin. Granddad shouted, voice cracking, "Maya, the truth! Tell the truth!" Hale yanked my arm. "Tell me where the door is." My heart pounded. I pressed my free hand against the tree's trunk. The bark was cold, solid. And then I whispered the words I had never said aloud, not to anyone, words that had lived in the darkest part of me my entire life. "I am not a Bennett." The ground trembled faintly beneath my feet. Hale froze. I lifted my chin. "I am Maya Ward, great-granddaughter of Adrian Ward, the bloodline you tried to erase." The vibration grew stronger. The bark beneath my palm warmed. Hale stepped back in shock, eyes widening. "No." "You hunted the wrong family," I whispered. "You underestimated the wrong person." A golden line traced itself along the tree's bark, forming a perfect circle where no opening had existed moments before. A door, a real door. Hale stumbled forward. "Open it!" He reached for me again, but the tree pulsed with light, and a shock wave rippled outward, knocking him backward onto the snow. His men staggered. Mom fell to her knees. Leo grabbed my arm, pulling me away from the expanding glow. The door in the tree slid open with a soft, ancient whisper. Inside was a chamber carved into the earth, lined with shelves of old notebooks, blueprints, reels of film, and a single metal pedestal. Granddad let out a sob. "Adrian, you magnificent fool!" Hale cried out, scrambling to his feet. "No!" He lunged for us. I stepped into the chamber. The glow flared, bright, brilliant, blinding, and then constricted violently. The door slammed shut in Hale's face. Darkness swallowed us. For a moment, all I heard was Granddad's breath and Leo's heartbeat pounding beside me. Then a soft light bloomed from within the pedestal. A final note. In my great-grandfather's handwriting, "Truth chose you. Protect what matters. Destroy what does not." I closed my eyes. Outside, we heard Hale screaming. Wild, furious, desperate, but the tree did not open for him. It never would. We waited in the safety of the chamber until dawn broke, and Alana confirmed Hale and his men had fled, scattered like rats when the police sirens, real ones, started blaring across the park. Hours later, wrapped in blankets and surrounded by officers who'd finally been forced to listen, I held the note to my chest. My story was no longer about fear, or shame, or survival. It was about truth. Truth chosen, truth claimed, truth finally spoken. And when I looked at Leo, at Granddad, at Mom, now quiet, remorseful, broken open by everything, we were not victims anymore. We were free, and the world outside was finally ready to hear what the Ward family had protected for generations. Thank you, dear listeners, for staying with me through this long, winding journey. If this story moved you, frightened you, or made you think about the power of family, truth, and courage, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and tell me where you're listening from. If you enjoyed the story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for many more powerful, emotional life stories. Your support means the world. Until next time, stay safe, stay kind, and protect the truth that lives in your heart.